joining us for our virtual speaker session. We will be getting started in just a couple of minutes as the room starts to fill up here. Go ahead and let us know who you are and where you're watching from today. We have a great session lined up, and we look forward to featuring our colleagues at the Center for Science and the schools here at Penn State University. We will be getting started in just a minute or two. Thanks for joining the virtual speaker session presented by the Penn State Alumni Association. Again, if you're just joining us, let us know who you are and where you're watching from today. You can drop that information in the chat in your viewing module. Thanks for joining us. We'll be getting started in just a minute. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Paul Clifford, CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association, and I'd like to welcome everybody to today's virtual speaker session, which is being recorded. We're encouraging you to participate in today's discussion. Based on the features made available in the audience console, you can view slides, hear the presenter via the main stage, submit questions to the presenter through the Q&A box, view closed captions, and much more. This afternoon, we welcome three leaders who will speak to the impact of Penn State's Center for Science and the Schools, and how that area is bridging STEM research and K through 12 education. The Center for Science and the Schools at Penn State is a leader in transforming pre-college STEM education, contributing to the university's land-grant mission in a 21st century context. By leveraging the technical research being done at Penn State, the center can design programs that engage K through 12 teachers and students in activities that mirror or closely approximate the work of experts operating on the cutting edge. From global climate modeling to the characterizations of biomolecules, the center offers a wide range of STEM outreach programs by directly collaborating with Penn State STEM researchers and their teams. Please join me in welcoming today's guest, Dr. Kathy Hill. Dr. Hill received a BA degree in geological sciences from Lehigh University, followed by an MS degree in environmental pollution control from Penn State. With a move to Phoenix, Arizona, she worked in environmental consulting for 10 years, which involved a wide variety of projects across the desert Southwest region. As director of the center, Dr. Hill leads the center's team in working with scientists and engineers to design and implement STEM education outreach programs that bridge cutting-edge science and engineering research with the K through 12 classroom. Also with us today is Jeff Remington. Jeff retired with 35 years of secondary classroom STEM teaching experience in the Palmyra School District, as well as 25 years of experience as an adjunct in both the graduate and undergraduate STEM education programs at Lebanon Valley College. He's received the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching, was a Global Teacher Prize Top 50 finalist, and was a National STEM Teacher Ambassador. At the center, he shares his passion for classroom experiences and his wisdom with our students and our faculty. Amanda Smith is the Director of K through 12 Engagement at Penn State and the Executive Director of Engine of Central Pennsylvania, a nationally recognized STEM learning ecosystem. As the Director of K through 12 Engagement, she focuses on building strategies and pathways to support the needs and vision of K through 12 and our community, primarily focused in the following areas of civic engagement, career readiness, social justice, STEM, and wellness. Thank you for joining us today. Dr. Hill, Jeff, and Amanda, I'm turning it over to you. Take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul. I'm going to share my screen. So hello, fellow Penn State alumni. We are so happy to be here with you today to share the work that's going on at the Center for Science in the Schools. As Paul mentioned, I'm Kathy Hill. I'm the director of CSATS, an associate professor of science education. And with me today are Amanda Smith and Jeff Remington. And we're going to give a little bit of background about ourselves. I know Paul gave a little bit of an overview, but it'll give you some idea of sort of the 3 different paths that we've really taken to get back here to Penn State. So I do have a bachelor's degree in geological sciences and then got my master's in environmental pollution control at Penn State, which led me to go work in industry in Phoenix, Arizona. Actually covered a territory in the desert Southwest beyond just Phoenix. But working in industry for 10 years, I really learned that the general public didn't have a very strong working knowledge of science and engineering, and that led me to education, and I became a middle school and high school science teacher. And then ultimately got my Ph.D. in curriculum and instruction at Arizona State University, and followed my passion of really trying to think hard about how to bridge what scientists and engineers actually do into K-12 classrooms. So that landed me here at the Center for Science in the Schools. Amanda.
Hi, thanks for having me today. So I started out getting my bachelor's degree in biology and in ecology under Everly College of Science, and got an education degree as well from College of Education. My family also, big Penn Staters, all went to Penn State, so this was a natural fit. After I left Penn State, I became a middle school science teacher. For all of you that are big football fans, Trace McSorley. I had him my first year of teaching out of Penn State in 6th grade. So it's a really neat full circle moment returning and to see him play. After that, I got my degree in administration. I thought I wanted to be an assistant principal or a principal for a period of time and go into a leadership position, building programs for schools, which led me to become a science department chair at a new high school in Loudoun, Virginia. Building a new building was a privilege and an honor, and then led me to become a biology and a research teacher, taking my students out a lot of times to the community, especially in Northern Virginia and in DC. But ultimately that led me to a STEM outreach position and now the director of K-12 engagement at Penn State. So it's great to come home to this wonderful community.
All right, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. So I started off at Indiana University of Pennsylvania and got a BS in secondary biology education and science education. And my first hire was at Palmyra School District, where I was a middle school teacher. Wasn't there long, and I decided to get a master's degree at a unique program from Penn State Harrisburg, which was adult training and development, how to train and develop staff. And I thought I'd use it for teacher professional development. That led me to a bunch of experiences throughout my career, including adjunct teaching at local colleges and doing a variety of trainings. And through a number of experiences, I had the opportunity to be one of 10 national STEM teacher ambassadors trained inside the DC Beltway on how to move the needle in STEM education. That gave me the opportunity to travel around the world, see great STEM in action around the world, to try and influence great STEM in action. And then I retired from 35 years of teaching after helping our district take some of the things that I learned about STEM education and develop our own STEM curriculum within Palmyra. When I retired, I thought, boy, I have all these experiences. I'd love to put them back to good use. And I saw that Penn State had an amazing program that totally fit my idea and philosophy of where STEM education could be. So very grateful to work with a great team at CSATS.
Great. So the Center for Science in the Schools, we really are a leader in transforming pre-college STEM education. And we're able to do this by leveraging the research that's happening right here at the university. And faculty and staff here at the center, we're a growing group. We have expertise in really bringing what these scientists and engineers are doing in their work into programs that are targeting both teachers and students at the pre-college level in K-12 education. The vast majority of our programs are for teachers, and we think hard about how we would want to translate what these experts are doing into things that are accessible to them, as well as their younger learners. So we start this process really by collaborating with Penn State researchers. And we work with researchers all across the university. So CSATS is a center within the College of Education, but we reach across the colleges and work with faculty in a lot of different places, as well as even liberal arts has departments that we collaborate with, and certainly Commonwealth campuses have researchers that we collaborate with as well. And one way that we collaborate with them is in pursuing their research grants. So lots of federal agencies require researchers to include a plan that they are going to impact the public in some way based on their research. And it can't be just by strictly doing the research. It needs to be some additional activities. And if what they want to do is work with teachers, CSATS is sort of the place to go. And the National Science Foundation refers to these plans as broader impacts. Other agencies don't necessarily use that language, but they have very similar requirements in terms of the grant being proposed, that there's some sort of broader impacts or outreach education plan. So we are built into a lot of proposals that are being put into all of those agencies that I just had on the last slide. And if they are selected for funding, then we get to work, right? So we get a portion of the budget that was submitted as part of the grant proposal to build and run our programs. And as you can imagine, we get really a sliver of the budget because most of that needs to be dedicated to the technical research that's been proposed to ensure that that research will be successful. So we look for philanthropic donations to sort of fill the gaps of what we need at the center to cover costs that we have and to actually build infrastructure that will ensure sustainability of ongoing programs, but also ensure that we can support future programs in very similar ways. So in developing these programs, we have developed a professional development model for approaching teachers. And we offer a range of programs from 1-day or 2-day workshops, primarily during the academic year, to a week-long or 2-week-long workshop in the summer, all the way to a 7-week program where we actually immerse teachers in research labs. So we have a wide range of programs, but we sort of operate with a similar model in mind. So we start with the research that's going on, and we immerse ourselves at CSATS in those environments. We meet with the faculty, their graduate students, their postdocs, and we really get to know what it is they're doing and how they're doing it. What questions are they asking and trying to answer? How are they going about doing that? If they're engineers, what problems are they solving? And how are they going about doing that? And we are novices ourselves. We certainly don't operate at the level of Ph.D. scientists and engineers, but we try to develop a very strong understanding so that we can build a really strong program. Once we have that understanding, we connect what the researchers are doing to K-12 education standards. And this is critical because teachers want to see that what programs we're offering are connected to those standards. Then we move on to actually building the program, and we collaborate with the faculty and graduate students to develop a storyline for the program. We then turn to creating individual learning experiences, which could be a combination of, say, mini lectures from faculty or graduate students, then to moving to an activity and sort of iterating through that, and that those experiences are building over the course of the workshop or program. Then we think about, are there tools that we need to embed that will provide needed scaffolding for novices to do this work? And sometimes we can find tools that already exist, and that's great, but sometimes we have to build them and make them. And we have faculty here that specialize in that. You'll get to see a little bit of that in the next few slides coming up. And then we get to bringing them to campus. So the teachers are recruited to come and engage in these learning experiences and actually engage in the practices of scientists and engineers in the way that they do their work. And then lastly, we facilitate the teachers to write their own curriculum. So we have 500 distinct school districts within the state. This is a state where local control, local decision-making is made. And so we don't write curriculum for teachers and just hand it to them. We have found that that has not been a very fruitful way of approaching teachers. And instead, we help support them in creating curriculum for their teaching context. So they take these learning experiences that they've had previously with us, and then craft something that would be appropriate for their students, for their teaching context, and that they feel is going to work. And it also gives them some creative license as well, that they have some input in how this will be taught to their students. Yeah.
Yeah, so a key thing that really captivated me about CSATS is CSATS has really been moving education from contrived experiences to more authentic experiences. In my 35 years, when I started off in teaching, a lot of my experiences that I had for students, I would say are contrived. Cookbook labs, cookbook lessons, things like that, where students, you may have heard, well, where are we ever going to use this? How is this really done in real life? But CSATS, as you're going to see, is doing real, authentic work that is being done on campuses throughout Pennsylvania and the Penn State system. So one of those is our program called Shape Matters. And here, teachers engage in techniques such as crystallization to determine structures, modeling. They use molecular visualization software called JMOL, which lets you on a 3D level manipulate, sort of like what you see in the picture there, manipulate molecules and see active ends and things like that. Helps them explore molecular stories about human health. CSATS works with teachers to help them translate that work into classroom research or education projects. And then teachers and students can participate with SMART team projects, where students can present in sessions at a national level, at a state level. And we provide funds for teachers to be trained, purchasing support equipment, follow through. So with this, we're giving a great deal of equity because our programs, for the most part, are costing schools. We're giving them resources. And in this program, if you look at my screen, we even provide some 3D printers to develop a molecule. You're looking at insulin on the screen here, which was a byproduct of our Shape Matters work there. Great. So then we also work with pollinators. So teachers work with Penn State pollination experts like Dr. Christina Rosinger at the Center for Pollination Research to analyze the problems that pollinators are facing and seek real-world ways to solve those problems. With CSATS assistance, the learning is translated into curriculum for schools, and students present their findings. At the elementary level, we've had a similar course dealing with pollinators where students were challenged to create hand pollinators. So it was part of the engineering design process to design a hand pollinator to move pollen from one flower to another. Students imagine, they plan, they create unique solutions to pollination challenges. So, I mean, real world problems that we're dealing with and teaching our kids how to do that in a true 21st century workforce development scenario. It's game changing. We work with the meteorology department as one of the many departments we work with. Teachers work in Penn State meteorology with Penn State meteorologists like Dr. Sukhyun Lee to analyze big data sets to discover trends that happen to be out there. With CSATS assistance, the learning is translated into curriculum in schools. And again, students can present their findings. We provide, a multitude of resources for these programs to be successful. You're going to see that most scientists and researchers on campus are not only specializing in what they do, but they also deal with computer science, with big data sets. So you're going to see in the next slide that we have our own computer scientist on staff, Dr. Kip Martin, who does amazing work with something called agent-based modeling. Agent-based modeling is the ability to understand macro phenomena, large complex phenomena that emerges from micro scale behavior. So agent-based modeling deals with a single agent. So I'm going to give you an example. If we were to talk about an ant's behavior, we could create a program based on data that's out there on how an ant behaves. What are the basic things that an ant does? Okay, well, we know that ants don't live in isolation in the real world. They live with other ants. And when you start taking the micro scale behavior of one ant and add multiple ants together, that increases the complexity. And we're going to show you that scenario in just a minute, but we take that kind of an idea, and you're going to see it here on the screen with that scenario that's playing out. This is called the ant game, but students can interact with that ant game in such a way that they can change variables of how the ants find food. We can put down something called pheromone trails to help them find food. You can see their foraging behavior. So students can manipulate very complex data by using something called agent-based modeling. And the way we have it set up with something called NetLogo, students can even do programming on the back side of it, just like a Penn State researcher would do, to see if they could manipulate some of the data and change things. This is jaw-dropping. I've never seen this before in STEM education, and we have it at CSATS. So we've used it on a free program that we've offered on our website called The Science of COVID-19 that applies that leverages that agent-based modeling so that you can see how COVID epidemiology would affect the population. We're currently rolling one out right now on waves, working with Penn State researchers that work on waves, work on behaviors of earthquakes. We have agent-based modeling. The cool thing about this is kids can manipulate these agent-based models, and they may even discover an insight that a researcher may not even be seeing. So you can't get any more authentic than that. It definitely gives me chills when I think about the power of this.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. And lastly, thinking about the Center for Science in the Schools is a really important element of connecting the STEM researchers to classrooms and bringing this authentic experiences. We have to be able to work with teachers in some way, shape, or form. We know these past 2 years have been really, really hard on education, and we're coming out of that. But now is also a new time to think about almost re-envisioning, remaking education. What can be done? How can we start to help them build that toolbox to create more authentic experiences inside that classroom, but bringing that STEM research from Penn State into the hands of teachers and students to better our society. So a big piece of this is building partnerships, not only with schools, but other sectors as well, because we know that you believe in it takes a village to raise a child. We're very much of that philosophy. And so as a really strong piece, a really great benefit to Penn State, but also to other universities, is the system called STEM ecosystems. And STEM ecosystems, there's about 95 of them in the nation, but they are these large scale networks that help really explore STEM education and tie K through 12 education to industry and workforce. What's happening and how can we decrease that gap? And so the White House came out with a report from the National Science and Technology Council in 2018. I think you can go ahead and move forward there, Kathy. Thanks. In 2018, they came out with a report. This was really, really important document for Penn State because it also involved all those big federal funding agencies that Kathy talked about in the beginning that the STEM researchers are working on to be an R1 institution. And the great thing about this is they highlighted a STEM ecosystem as a very important strategy in the broader impacts because they want to see more partnerships happening. They want to see how you're bringing different assets to the table to build out better programs and better broader impacts for children and youth and families. And so 2018 came out and then they reiterated it in 2021. And they're still saying in the gist of this report is community partnerships are very critical for addressing broader impacts. And so Kathy and I got our heads together early on around this time and we said, you know, this region of Pennsylvania around Penn State University, around specifically University Park, Penn State Harrisburg, Penn State Schuylkill did not have an ecosystem, but there were ecosystems popping up in other regions and we felt it was the need to create one of our own. And so what you'll see here, landscape of Pennsylvania, we developed a 12-county STEM ecosystem around a lot of different partners encompassing 63 school districts. And you'll see that when you think about those 63 school districts, there's also many non-public schools involved as well. And that's really looking at making a larger impact across a very concentrated network, not only at CSATS, but with other partners that we have that we've been working very closely with that are in the community, such as our libraries, science centers and museums, parks and rec, all very critical in helping to build out these programs to make a larger impact, not only inside the school, but outside the school as well. So you'll see that we reach about 179,000 students at this moment in time, a great thing to build into broader impacts of research grants. And so when we started putting our heads together, and this was really the coalition of the willing coming together and the right groups at the right time, we have several initiatives under Engine. So under the engine of Central PA, there's really 4 big programs. One, in order to build partners, you've got a network. It's a very critical piece. Glad we're coming back to it. Can't wait to get off Zoom more and more. One big thing is we do school to business speed dating, classic speed dating, schools on one side, businesses, industries on the other. But we help them talk through some things about how can they create new partnerships together. Another piece of Engine is engaging teacher leaders. This is something that's going to be a new initiative with Kathy and Jeff, because there's a lot changing in the state that we have to keep our pulse on. One, the new science standards are coming down the pike that have not been touched since 2002. So it's now is the time to really invigorate education, create more authentic experiences, and really bring out that STEM research that we talk about. So the Teacher Voice Council will be a heavy component. Another program that we're really proud of, and I'm going to dig into this a little bit deeper, we also want to engage student leaders. We want to build our youth to take over tomorrow. The STEM workforce is changing. We want to make sure the students are ready to tackle it. And lastly, Remake Learning Days. This is happening right now. It goes on across about 14 states, happening across Pennsylvania, heavily concentrated in early May. But this is a great opportunity where many, many organizations come out to celebrate innovative educational experiences for families happening right in your community. Penn State, in fact, has many opportunities coming down the pike to engage families. This includes Shavers Creek, WPSU, the Arboretum, 4-H, Paul Robinson galleries, on and on and on, because this is a great way that we can elevate Penn State as a community to say, look what we do for K through 12. And so lastly, I wanted to touch upon this program, really great program that just kicked off this year in rural Pennsylvania. It's an opportunity where it's like a fellowship program where middle and high school students have an opportunity to be that STEM ambassador and that liaison for their community. They also have to start to learn what's in their community. How can they engage with community partners and think about a STEM action project they can do with their school? A lot of these students I see are also our future STEM educators. We have a shortage in education, and these are the students, and this is the type of program that could really solve that in creating more highly qualified STEM educators of the future. So a lot of these students decide they want to work with their elementary kids and bring STEM experiences down to the elementary. So it's been a wonderful experience. It's also sponsored heavily by Siemens and our local AAUW chapter, as well as CSATS really spearheads the Chief Science Officer program. And also our Center for Nanoscale Science is also a major player in this. And so if you're also interested in working with building STEM leaders, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to discuss more about any of these programs as well. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jeff.
Thanks. So at CSATS, our thumb is really on the pulse of what Penn State research initiatives are up to. We really keep a radar out there to see what's out there and to seek opportunities with researchers to change or help turn their good work into outreach initiatives for K-12 education. And like Amanda just said, with our STEM ecosystem profile, we continue to build relationships with cross-sector partnerships, because that's what the real world is all about. And we are developing students to be part of this real world and make those connections. So this connections that we make with our cross-sector partnerships really helps our mission, which is to transform K-12 education through partnership and collaboration. So our ask is, connect with us. How can we work together to promote cutting-edge, innovative, authentic K-12 workforce development in Pennsylvania and beyond? Kathy, any closing thoughts?
No, this is what we wanted to share with you all, and start having a dialogue about how we might partner.
Excellent. Well, we have some questions that are coming in from our audience, and I wanted to see what your thoughts are on the questions that you've inspired from our audience here. First, is healthcare and nursing considered part of STEM, and how do you connect with those communities?
So they are a part of STEM. So if we think about the work of scientists and engineers, people in healthcare, they're no longer disciplinary experts. There are some, but a lot of folks are now having to be interdisciplinary, even in their own individual work, but also collaborate with other experts in other fields. So I think about nursing and other healthcare providers. They certainly are social scientists. They're working with human beings. So there's a social science component to that we at the center would not address, but they also are technical experts. So the one program that Jeff showcased, Shape Matters, we've had teachers and actually faculty from Penn College who are preparing healthcare, future healthcare employees understand the science. So understand proteins and protein synthesis and how proteins behave in terms of certain healthcare issues. So certainly we overlap with that. But again, just to sort of, I don't want to pigeonhole any field into STEM per se, because the lines are getting so blurred now.
So another question coming in from Francis D'Angelo, working with middle-aged girls, what hooks or attention-getting tactics will draw them into STEM?
So I really think that we find that the programs as they exist and actually engaging them in what scientists and engineers do is the hook. And actually having opportunities to interact with either future scientists and engineers, if they're students, that near peer interaction is really important. but also having strong models of females in the field. Amanda, did you want to talk a little bit about the Chief Science Officer's interactions with the industry?
Yes, I think that program is, and the CSO program doesn't just happen in Pennsylvania, it's happening in other states as well, Oregon and Arizona and Michigan and Florida, Mexico, Kenya, there's several. But the great thing about something like that is it's a lot of wraparound supports to support both male and female students. But what we saw out of the recent Chief Science Officer celebration, we were able to take students to a company called Actuated Medical, which is right in Central PA. And it's a female-run company, a biomedical company that actually produced a lot of the shields when COVID started and we were all, starting to wear the shields. They shifted gears and produced those for a lot of schools around this region, but are also making many incredible biomedical, biotechnology equipment that's for hospitals. Taking our CSOs there was very inspiring. So many girls, you could see that there was this light bulb turned off and they said, I can't believe this is something that I could do and explore, not only with the skills that I love from math, but it's also hands-on, it's also engineering, it is science. So seeing how they described it, it's getting them in front of those role models. That's very, very important. And it takes them going to those kinds of experiences to really make, I think, a bigger difference.
So within the Penn State ecosystem, there seems like there's a lot of natural partners. I wonder if you could touch on some of the relationships that you have with them. For example, with the launch boxes that are all around the state. I know 4-H is run through Extension, and I would imagine that there's some potential crossover and partnerships with each of those.
Yeah, we do partner with them, when it fits well. And we leverage each other for sure. We ran a program it starts with teachers. So at CSATS, we typically start with the teachers first. And then if we have a student program, a lot of times it's come out of the teachers actually implementing the curriculum with their students. And so we had a wearable device challenge where the students had to identify a problem in their community, just whatever they noticed at school, at home, wherever, and they had to then design and prototype a wearable device to solve that problem. And we held the student sort of showcase of what they had come up with at a launch box. And then the folks at the launch box got to talk to the students at the end about what is the process of actually taking a prototype all the way to full on-the-shelf production. And it's pretty complicated and long and involved, but they really got to see and hear about that whole process, because certainly getting to the prototype is one part of it, but there's a whole lot more involved. So yeah, we do partner with other entities where we can.
Some of the questions that are coming in here may have you expanding your 12 county footprint that you have. Let's see here. So Joe C., who I'm just guessing might be Joe Clifford, my father, in Luzerne County, is working with a collaboration made up of Penn State and a local school district on the potential integration of high school STEM program with Penn State technology and science programs. Do you know of any cases where this is being done on any of our campuses, or any of these kind of partnerships within the high schools where we're connecting high school STEM programs with Penn State programs?
So I am not familiar with all of those programs. When we connect with Commonwealth campuses, we have sort of two entry points. One is through a researcher who's going to put in a grant proposal, as I described, but the other one is through continuing education. And we find that a lot of their programs that benefit pre-college students are, targeting pre-college students are coming out of that unit, and the expertise needed to do that's where it resides. So when we find opportunities to partner, those are sort of the two places that we're looking to see what's available.
All right, this next question is looking to get me in a little bit of trouble. So If you want to dodge this one, I think it'll be acceptable. But a question coming in: do you feel general science denierism has hindered the furtherance of education progress in STEM? So we see this in the news all the time, right? Who people are suspect of science now, especially through COVID-19. How has that hurt your efforts, and is that something that you run into?
I actually think that it's helped. I think that it has revealed a need to really engage students from an early age in science, how it's done, not just read about it or learn conceptually how something might work, but how did we figure that out? Really wanting to, bring those practices into the classroom, which is sort of counter to what education has looked like to date. Jeff, did you want to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I just think what we do at CSATS really shines a light on problem solving through a lens that's more 21st century and forward looking than practices we've done in the past. And I feel like what we're doing at CSATS is also leveraged perfectly for where our new state science standards are and where Pennsylvania needs to go with workforce development. So I feel like to echo what Kathy said, I think it's helped us.
I'll add one thing and then Amanda, you can chime in. So we had to face COVID like everyone else and make decisions that were hard decisions. Like we canceled a lot of our programs during COVID because we couldn't bring anyone to campus. But we made the decision to work with 3 researchers who had decided to focus on COVID and come up with the Science of COVID-19 modules. And it was crafted in a way to help the general public, whoever wants to go on it can, learn about how a virologist, an epidemiologist, and a health sciences researcher, public health researcher, would approach a novel virus. So how would they go about even starting to think about it? And so that is, what is in the 3 modules. So again, I think that it just sort of helped us have some clarity about what it is we do and provide those kinds of resources. Amanda, what did you want to add?
Yeah, I was going to hit on that. Was the COVID by responding was building out those COVID-19 modules that, not only just important for teachers and students, but for the general public. And there's a bigger need that under my direction now with K-12 engagement is even looking at how can we help all entities at Penn State? How can we make sure that we're opening up our doors to Penn State and that schools across not just Pennsylvania, but beyond can be part of what we're doing to support K-12 education?
I think a good question to wrap things up on is coming again in from the chat. What is the best way, or who would be the best contact person to explore possible collaboration opportunities with my local school district? I guess another piece to that is, how solid is that 12 county footprint that you have outlined? Is that flexible, or is that just how far you
all of Pennsylvania? We reach all across. We have teachers come from all over Pennsylvania to our programs. There are no boundaries. The reason we chose the 12 county region was because we felt that particular footprint would probably never be in an ecosystem if Amanda and I didn't pursue that.
Mm-hmm.
We have other ecosystems in the state, but because it's such a rural swath, most of those others are in urban centers or near urban centers, and we just wanted to have these strong ties to the community right around us. But we actually have teachers come from all over the country,
mm-hmm.
Attend our program. So they're open to whoever applies and is then selected to come.
Yes, I would just add,
want to collaborate. you can contact Jeff Remington. That's
Pointing
it.
over here if Jeff's over here, but yeah.
So yeah, it's a good
And we
point.
will drop that contact information in the follow-up email that we share after this session has concluded. But that wraps up our time together today. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to our audience for joining us. We are so grateful for your support of the Penn State Alumni Association and for all you do for the university, for the glory, and for the future. We are
Penn State.
Penn State.